Hey everyone, this is Airplane 312 here. Today is June 16th, 2021. And in about July 6th, it's when I'm going to get my driver's test. It's my final test. So I'm going to talk a little briefly of what you need to pass the driver's part. This is based on my state of Montana. It might be the same pre-trip pre-trip deal. I'm calling it a pre-trip. That means before you take that vehicle into drive. What they usually will check is your blinkers, your left and right, front and back, your high beams and low beams. They might check. That's 2. Your brake lights might be 3. Then you'll check your horn, probably your windshield wipers, and pretty much that'll be it. And also make sure you have good working seat belts. Make sure you do not have bald tires. To make sure everything's working correctly. Make sure you have enough fuel in your vehicle. You don't want to also not have any gas. If you're using electric, make sure your vehicle is fully charged up. Make sure your vehicle is working good condition. Make sure you have your registration with you. Your car insurance. If someone's lending to you, you might need to ask them to write a permission slip. That means I blah 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 give permission to blah 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 for the test to make sure they understood. And before you do take that to the driver's examiner, make sure you do your test. Make sure the horn works. Make sure the blinkers work. Make sure the brakes work. The headlights work. Just make sure everything that's working correctly, because you will fail if one thing does not work. It doesn't matter because you instantly fail because the driver says your vehicle is not roadworthy. You fail the test. In my state, you get 3 chances to pass the driver's part, 5 chances for the written part. And that's pretty much basically everything in all the other states I look like. I checked South Dakota. It's the same 5 chances, I believe I remember correctly, and 3 chances for the driver's deal. And it may vary between state to state. Once you pass, then the driver instructor says, okay, you passed this part. Usually they don't tell you you passed that part. Usually they say, okay, put into drive and let's begin. Usually that's a sign that you passed the first part. And then he's gonna probably make you do a couple left hand turns, right hand turns, And pretty much in my state, in the United States, you're gonna probably have to do parallel park. And I think you can miss maybe two deals to still pass the test. And then once that's done, the driver's examiner will say, okay, let's go back to the driver examiner place. They might tell you right in the vehicle you passed. They might just tell them and say, okay, come into the office. And usually some people can tell the way the driver examiner is talking that you might pass. Don't always assume that you pass. Always assume that you probably failed. And once the driver examiner tells you, either in the vehicle or in the building, they might say, congratulations, you passed. Congratulations that you might, it says congratulations, you did almost pass. You can reschedule us in X amount of days. They will tell you what needs to be more work on. Like, okay, you need to work on more on your parallel parking. Okay, you need to make better left-hand turns, right-hand turns. You need to stay in your lane more. They will actually tell you. If they don't tell you, ask them, saying, since I fail, what do I need to work on? If they get you in a hard time and harass you, just make a note that saying, okay, this person's having a bad day. I failed. I do not want to have this examiner. You do have the legal rights to say, hey, I don't want this examiner due to him being rude, due to him not being truly fair. They will actually tell you. They have to be hard. Because this is a privilege. Sorry for my speech. But this is a privilege that you actually get. It's not a right. It's a privilege that can be taken away through the court system. A lot of times people never get a driver's license due to health problems or due to the court system saying this person cannot have a driver's license. And usually, sometimes when a judge bangs his gavel and saying, I'm sorry I'm going off, but once the judge bangs his gavel and says, you no longer get a driver's license, you don't get. The only other way for the United States is to appeal. But let's get back to the driver's part. And the thing is, once you pass, you pass. And to tell you the difference between classes, there's usually it's very, very rare for people to call Class E. And usually that's a learner's permit. Usually in the United States, you never see Class E. Class D is it's weird. It should be the reverse, but Class C is the basic driver license. My pal Grant Travels, when he got it, he has a Class D driver license, and before he had a CDL Class C, one step above a Class D license. And what that does, you can have a Class C CDL and still drive a normal vehicle. By our standards, it's a legal driving bill. And that has more weight that you can use. Then the next step up is Class CDL Class B driver license. If you're going to go from C to B, you might as well get this Class CDL Class B instead of getting the C one. And the very top is called Class A, and it's a CDL Class A. That means truckers, like a semi, a lorry in the UK. That's the highest class there is. And there might be, depending on circumstances, that I'll call Class CDL Class AA. Don't quote me on that, but I heard it. I'm not going to confirm it, but that's how it works. Then there's doubles, triples, quads. In some states, there's a semi, trailer, 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 and trailer. In my state, you can only have 3. The one attached to the semi, your second one, and your third. That's for when you get up to Class, I think A and B might work. And I think really might be on Class C. It's based off of your weight. Some people. So while we're on a topic about driving stuff, say, hey Airplane 312, I'm from the UK. Can I drive in the United States? Yes, long as you have a driver license from your home country that's valid for you to drive. If you're from Canada, it's the same thing. If we come to your country and we have our driver license, it's a valid form. Some countries might not recognize it or get confused on it. Some of the places in the United States might get confused and say, hey, this is not a valid form. You need our state ID. No. In our United States of America, if you have a valid driver license from your home country, you have a legal right to drive in our country. However, very rarely you might get denied the right to drive. Stop being a sovereign citizen and say, I have a right to travel. Just stop. It doesn't work. Oh, by the way, there's Kermit the Frog. And you might see a little back there. That's pretty much information that works. Because people need a work deal. So in the very beginning, some people say, hey, can I get my written test, then pass my vision and do my driving test the same day? That would depend. I might say yes, you can. As long as you've passed the written part of, I believe it's 80%, which in our grade level is a B. I'm not quite sure, but I believe it's either 80 or 85. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's more like 80%. You might see a later on video of me correcting my error, or later on I'll make another video later on, probably on the 7th of July, giving you guys an update that I probably pass and stuff, or fail, or whatever I decide. If I forget, whoever's watching, you can make a comment. Say, hey, what's the update on that? Hey, we'd like to know a little bit more information about Montana's driver's testing, how it works. Where you live, what did you did to pass the test? I'll actually give you the correct information to my knowledge and my own opinion of it. A lot of people ask, hey, I'm from what is South Dakota, for example. I'm from South Dakota. I got my driver's license. Hey, I moved to Montana. How does that work? I believe you have until 10 days to change it. I'm not quite sure, but I believe it's 10 days you have to change your ID. If you're visiting stuff, I'm not quite sure. You might barely go on your skin and stuff and scrape by. But let's use it as saying, hey, I'm moving to the state. What I learned from my friend that had a South Dakota driver license. He came to Montana, got him on a Montana mailing list. I told him, say, you need at least 2 physical mailing deals, 2 physical photo IDs, your birth certificate, and now for the real ID, you need your social security, your license that you want to transfer. You pay the dues to the state that you're from the state fee for the state that you're going to. I mean, pay that. Then they might want you to do the written test, the driving test. I'm saying might. Depends on the expiration date. They might say that. Or they might go say, okay, you pass these tests. Now it's time for your vision test. And by the way, they will make you do the vision test again. Once you pass the vision test, they will either stamp void on your state ID. They might take it and put it in the shredder. Then give you the paper copy saying, hey, Montana driver license, Class D or Class C, B, A, whatever you get. If you're going to get a CDL and then get your Class D, get your Class C CDL first. It's confusing, but I hear a lot of people through different channels saying, get your Class CDL first, and then go to your Class D license, because you might just have to pass the written test, or they might just give you the license. It really depends. They say, oh, you got your Class C. Oh, you got your Class B. Oh, you got your Class A. Why don't you take the written test? You pass that. You pass the driver course. Because when you're driving for your Class A, B, or C, CDL, and pass it, virtually what you're doing is taking almost the same course of getting your Class D. And then when that happens, you pass. I'm not quite sure what the youngest you can get in Montana. I believe it might be 14 and a half or 15 and a half. So why not just call it at 15 for now? At that point, you can get your learner's permit and then get your permit to drive, but that has restrictions, such as you have curfew. In my state, it's at 10 o'clock p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And then once you get at age, I believe, 16, you still have some curfew at that time. Then pretty much let's go from 16 to 18. was just jump from 17 to 18. At that point, you can get a full flush driver license with no curfew, no restrictions added. Once that happens, you get it. But if you're under age 18 and under, you might need a legal guardian to sign saying, hey, I'm taking responsibility for this person. You're going to hear my air conditioning. But saying, hey, Airplane 312, I am over 18 now. What rules will apply to this? They might have the restrictions for the curfew. Or they're saying, hey, your responsibility. You can get your permit to drive. At this time, they don't need a legal guardian to sign. They might, but they don't need it. They're saying, hey, can I have my best friend ride along with me that has a driver's license and I have a permit? Can that work? The answer is yes. As long as they have a valid driver's license with no restrictions on it, that means it's suspended, restricted. As long as that works, pretty much every single... Sorry about that. Getting out of focus. But once that happens, in Montana, you got a year. So let's say you, right now, you got your learner's permit. Today is July 16, 2021. In my state, you got 1 year to get your valid full flush license. So that means on 7/16/2022 is when it expires. You might get by and say, hey, I need to pay more money to get extension, saying I need more time. But that's the fees and stuff. That's the process. So for Montana, as of right now, I'm going to round it up to the nearest dollar. And by the way, I'm talking in U.S. currency. So it might be more in any other state. It might go from 50, 100, 300. It really depends on your state. But in my state of Montana, to get a Class D license, where I'm from, it's $45. Little less than $45, but I'm going to call it $45. This is not the real ID, by the way. It'll cost you $95 to $100 for your real ID in the state of Montana. Then the renewal, it's different. Once you pass, you virtually can drive anywhere. You don't need another person with a valid driver's license. The only other way that they will do that is to put restrictions on it, saying, hey, we passed you, but we're giving you a probation period to see if you get better and don't get any accidents for 6 months. Don't get any traffic tickets for 6 months. Don't get any ticket in 6 months as a driver. This video is getting so long, I might have to redo it or do different clips and stuff. I'll decide later. So this is on a different day. Please understand that I upload on a different day. And by the way, this is going to be raw. Completely raw. Any mistakes I done made will happen. So this video is going to get long. Like and subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Oh, by the way, my friend Grant Charles has merchandise that I created for him. And he agrees to have the merchandise. So I'm probably going to put the link in the video. Pretty soon my merchandise will be live. So go ahead and subscribe to Grant Travels. And I'll post a link to his channel below if I remember. So, see you next time. Peace. And again, I'll see you next time.